Hi, in this video we're going to introduce the idea of the inverse function. So we've got the function f of x is given by f of x is equal to 2x minus 3. So first of all we're going to work out f of 4, then we're going to do this f to the minus 1 of 5 and then f to the minus 1 of x, and we'll explain what f to the minus 1 means in a minute. Okay, so we've got f of 4 is going to be equal to 2 times 4, take away 3, which will give me 8, minus 3, which will give me 5. This is sort of the traditional way of doing it. Now, we could have done it like this. We could have used what's known as a flow diagram. So, we've got 4. What's the first thing we do to our value of 4? We're going to multiply it by 2. So, if we do 2 times 4, we get 8 coming out. What's the next thing? Once we do that, we need to take away 3. So 8 take away 3 will give me 5. Now we get this idea. What does this f to the minus 1 mean? Well, it means the inverse function. We need to do the opposite thing. So how can I take this 5, because we have to do f to the minus 1 of 5, and get it back to be what it originally was, which is a 4? Well, if we look at the flow diagram, we go to 5, and we now go the opposite way. Now, inverse means do opposite things. So take away 3. The inverse operation of that is to add 3. So with 5 plus 3, we will get 8. The opposite thing of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. But in algebra, to divide by 2, you need to write it as a fraction. So that will now become 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And we now got back to what we started to. So f to the minus 1 of 5 is going to be equal to 4. Now, more interestingly, what about f to the minus 1? F to the minus 1 of x. What would be the actual inverse function in terms of x? Well, instead of putting 5 here, let's start with x. What was the first thing we did? We added 2, the opposite of taking 3. So that comes out as, in algebra, as x plus 3. And the next thing we did was the opposite of multiplying by 2, which was divide by 2. But dividing by 2 in algebra, we write it as a fraction. So we will get x plus 3 over 2. So the inverse function would be x plus 3 divided by 2. Now, it's a little bit cumbersome to write all this out, so perhaps maybe we need a better method. So, looking at the better method, what you do is, if we've got the function f of x is equal to 2x minus 3, then instead of f of x, we now say that y is equal to 2x minus 3, and we rewrite this, making x the subject. So now to rewrite this by making x a subject, so we have to do a little bit of algebra. So if we've got y is equal to 2x plus minus 3, then the first thing to do in order to make x a subject is to add 3 for both sides. So this side will become y plus 3. This side would just become 2x. And then the next thing would be to divide both sides by 2. So dividing by 2 in algebra means this becomes y plus 3 over 2, and this side will become x. So we now got x is equal to y plus 3 over 2. But we don't write the inverse function in terms of y, we write it in terms of x. So we will replace the x, so rewriting in terms of x, we will write f to the minus 1 of x. Instead of y plus 3 over 2, we'll just write down x plus 3 over 2. And this represents the inverse function. Okay, this has been a video to show you how to find the inverse function of a given function. I hope you've understood, and I thank you very much for watching.